I was sitting in my neurologist's office when my phone buzzed, a text from my daughter-in-law, Vanessa. Just wanted to let you know we stopped by the house to grab a few things for you. Don't worry about a thing, Mom. We're taking care of everything. I stared at the message, my hand trembling slightly. Not from the Parkinson's diagnosis I'd just received, though that was certainly weighing on me, but from something in those words that felt off. Grab a few things for you. I hadn't asked them to grab anything. I'd only been diagnosed an hour ago. My name is Patricia Brennan, and I'm 67 years old. I've lived in the same house in Mississauga, Ontario for 42 years. My husband, Robert, passed away 3 years ago from a sudden heart attack. We raised 2 sons in this house, James and Thomas. James, my oldest, married Vanessa 8 years ago. They live 20 minutes away in Oakville. The diagnosis had come as a shock, but not a complete surprise. I'd been noticing the tremor in my right hand for months, the slight shuffle in my walk, the way my handwriting had become smaller and smaller. Dr. Chen had been kind but direct. Early-stage Parkinson's disease, manageable with medication. Life expectancy essentially normal. I could live independently for many, many years with the right treatment plan. But apparently, Vanessa had other ideas. When I got home that afternoon, I found her in my kitchen, surrounded by boxes. My kitchen. The one where I'd made thousands of meals, where Robert and I had shared our morning coffee, where my grandchildren, James and Vanessa's 2 kids, Sophie and Lucas, had learned to bake cookies with me. "Oh, Mom," Vanessa looked up with a bright smile. "How did the appointment go?" I set my purse down on the counter, eyeing the boxes. Dr. Chen confirmed it's Parkinson's. Early stage. He says with medication, I should be fine for a long time. "That's wonderful news," she said, but her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Well, not wonderful about the diagnosis, of course, but wonderful that it's manageable. James and I have been talking, and we think it's best if you come stay with us for a while, just until you get settled with the medication and everything. I looked at the boxes again. They weren't empty. I could see my good china peeking out from one of them, the Wedgwood set my mother had given me as a wedding gift. "Vanessa, why are you packing my china?" She laughed, a light tinkling sound that made my skin prickle. "Oh, Mom, you won't need all this where you're going. We're just going to store it safely. You know, Parkinson's patients often have trouble with fine motor skills. We wouldn't want you to drop any of these precious pieces." "Where I'm going?" I repeated slowly. "I just told you I'm going to be fine. I'm not going anywhere." "Of course not right away," she soothed. "But James and I think it's important to plan ahead. You'll be so much more comfortable with us, and honestly, this house is far too big for one person. All these stairs, what if you fall? I'm 67, not 97. I climb those stairs every day without issue. But I didn't say that. Instead, I asked, where's James? He's upstairs helping to sort through some of your clothes. You have so many things you don't wear anymore, Mom. We're just trying to lighten the load." My son was upstairs, going through my belongings, without my permission. The woman in front of me was packing up my life like I was already gone. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not fear, exactly. Something sharper, clearer. "I'd like you to stop packing," I said quietly. Vanessa looked up, surprise flickering across her face. "Mom, we're just trying to help." "I understand, but I'd like you to stop. Now." For a moment, something hard flashed in her eyes. Then the smile was back. "Of course. You're probably overwhelmed from the appointment. Why don't you go rest? James and I can finish up here and we'll talk about everything later." I didn't go rest. I went upstairs and found my son in my bedroom, going through my jewelry box. Robert's wedding ring was in his hand. "Mom!" He startled when he saw me. Vanessa thought we should put your valuables in our safe, for security." "Put my husband's ring down, James." He did, but reluctantly. "Mom, I know this seems sudden, but we're worried about you. Parkinson's is serious. You can't live alone anymore. Dr. Chen said I can live independently for years with proper medication." "Doctors always say that," Vanessa said from the doorway. She'd followed me up. "But we know better, don't we? My grandmother had Parkinson's. It's a progressive disease, Mom. You'll need care eventually. Why not get ahead of it? Your grandmother was 86 when she was diagnosed," I said. I'd met the woman once, years ago. I'm 67. There's a significant difference. Age is just a number, Vanessa said smoothly. The disease is the same. No, it wasn't. But I could see there was no point in arguing. Not then. I asked them to leave. They did, but Vanessa hugged me tightly at the door. We'll be back tomorrow to help you start packing properly, she whispered. You'll see this is for the best. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the china, about Robert's ring in James's hand, about the way Vanessa had said where you're going like it was already decided. I'd raised James to be kind, to be helpful, but somewhere along the way, helpful had turned into controlling. Or maybe it wasn't James at all. Maybe it was Vanessa's influence. I didn't want to think that about my own son, but the evidence was mounting. The next morning, I called my younger son, Thomas. He lived in Vancouver with his partner David. We'd always been close. Mom, how did the appointment go? I told him. About the diagnosis, about Dr. Chen's prognosis, about what I'd come home to find. There was a long silence. Then, Jesus Christ, Mom, they were packing your things? Without asking? They say they're helping. That's not helping. That's, he trailed off. Do you want me to fly out there? Not yet. But Thomas, I need you to know what's happening. In case things get worse. What do you mean worse? I didn't answer directly. Can you check something for me? That power of attorney we set up after your father died, who's listed as my attorney? I think it's James. You said he lived closer and could handle things if you were ever in the hospital or something. My stomach dropped. I'd done that 2 years ago, when I'd had a minor surgery. It had seemed practical at the time. James was local. He could make medical decisions if I was unconscious. It was meant for emergencies. Can you find the document and send me a copy? Of course. Mom, are you okay? I will be, I said. And I meant it. The power of attorney was limited medical decisions only, and only if I was incapacitated. But I needed to be sure. I needed to know exactly what James could and couldn't do. Vanessa and James returned that afternoon, as promised. This time, they brought a real estate agent. Mom, this is Carolyn Winters, Vanessa said brightly. She's going to give us an estimate on the house value. Just for planning purposes, of course. Carolyn Winters was a polished woman in her 50s with a tablet and a measuring tape. She walked through my home like she owned it, making notes, taking photos. Beautiful property, she said. In this market, you're looking at somewhere between 1.2 and 1.4 million, I'd say, maybe more with the right staging. My house. The one Robert and I had bought for $87,000 in 1983. The one we'd slowly renovated, room by room, year by year. The one where we'd raised our children, buried our dog in the backyard, hosted countless Christmases and birthdays. Worth over $1 million. And my son and his wife were getting it appraised. I didn't agree to this, I said. We're just gathering information, James said. Mom, think about it. You could sell this place, move in with us, and have plenty of money for your care. Medical expenses can add up. I have excellent insurance through Robert's pension plan. For now, Vanessa said. But what about later? What about when you need full-time care? Dr. Chen said that's years away, if it even happens. If? Vanessa's voice had an edge now. Mom, it's Parkinson's. It's not going to get better. You need to be realistic. Realistic. That was rich, coming from a woman who was planning my future like I was already incompetent. I looked at my son. James, can I speak to you alone? We went out to the back deck, the one Robert had built the summer before he died. It overlooked the garden I'd maintained for 40 years. James, I love you. You know that. But what you're doing, what Vanessa is doing, it's not okay. Mom, we're just trying to help. Stop saying that. I rarely raise my voice at my children, but something in me snapped. You're not helping. You're taking over. I have a diagnosis, James, not a death sentence. I'm perfectly capable of making my own decisions. He looked uncomfortable. Vanessa says, I don't care what Vanessa says. I care what you think. Do you honestly believe I need to sell my home and move in with you right now? Today? This week? He hesitated. And in that hesitation, I saw the doubt. He didn't really think that. But Vanessa did, and he was going along with it. "I just want you to be safe," he said finally. "I am safe. I have medication. I have a good doctor. I have my faculties. What I don't have is a reason to uproot my entire life because your wife is afraid of something that might happen in 10 years. That's not fair, isn't it?" We stood there in silence for a moment. Then Carolyn Winters poked her head out. "Just need to get some measurements of the deck, if you don't mind." I did mind. I minded very much. But what could I do? They'd already invaded my home, my privacy, my life. That night, after they left with promises to continue the conversation tomorrow, I did something I hadn't done in 3 years. I poured myself a glass of Robert's favorite scotch and sat in his chair in the study. "What would you do?" I asked the empty room. Robert had been a lawyer, a good one. He'd always told me, document everything, trust your gut, and never sign anything under pressure. So I started documenting. I went through the house and took photos of everything. Every room, every piece of furniture, every box of Robert's things I'd been saving. I made a list of what had already been taken. I'd noticed some of his law books were missing, along with a few pieces of art from the hallway. Then I called my bank and asked about my accounts. Everything seemed normal. For now. Finally, I sent an email to Thomas. "Need you to find me a good lawyer in the GTA, elder law specialist. Don't tell James." His response came within an hour. "Already on it. Sending you 3 names tomorrow. Love you, Mom." The next 3 days were a blur. Vanessa and James came by daily, each time with a new, helpful suggestion. Maybe I should sign over power of attorney for finances, not just medical, just to make things easier. Maybe I should start looking at retirement communities, nice ones, of course, with lots of activities. Maybe I should let them handle my medication, since Parkinson's patients often forget to take their pills. I smiled and nodded and said I'd think about it. Meanwhile, I met with Margaret Chen, an elder law attorney that Thomas had recommended. She was sharp, no nonsense, and Asian Canadian like my neurologist, something that made me feel oddly comforted. "Mrs. Brennan," she said, looking over the documents I'd brought, "do you understand what's happening here? I think my daughter-in-law is trying to take control of my life. It's called undue influence. Sometimes it leads to financial exploitation. Your son has medical power of attorney, which is fine, but if they're pressuring you to sign over financial power of attorney or to sell your house, that's a red flag. What can I do? First, we revoke the medical power of attorney and create a new one with someone you trust completely. Who would that be? My son Thomas. In Vancouver. Good. Second, we create a living will that specifies exactly what kind of care you want and don't want. Third, we make sure your house is protected. Do you have a will? Yes, from when Robert died. Everything goes to both sons equally. We might want to update that. Not to cut James out, she added quickly, seeing my expression, but to add protections. For example, you could specify that the house can't be sold until after your death or that it goes into a trust. Can we do that without telling him? It's your property, Mrs. Brennan. You don't need anyone's permission. We spent 2 hours going over everything. By the time I left her office, I had a plan. But Vanessa and James had a plan too. I came home to find a locksmith van in my driveway. Vanessa answered my door with a smile. "Mom!" We had the locks changed. For security. "Here's your new key." She pressed it into my hand. "We have copies too, of course, just in case of emergency." They'd changed the locks on my house. Without asking. Without permission. I looked past her and saw James in the kitchen, talking on his phone. I caught a few words. Retirement community. Yeah, she's resistant, but power of attorney. Next week. They were planning to do something next week. I took the key. "Thank you, Vanessa. That was very thoughtful." She looked surprised that I wasn't arguing. "Oh, well, good. We just want you safe, Mom." "I know. Can I ask you something?" "Of course. The china you packed the other day, where is it?" "In our storage unit." "Totally safe. And Robert's law books?" "James has them in his office. He thought it would be nice to have something of his dad's." "I see." I smiled. "You know, I've been thinking about what you said. About moving in with you. And you're right, this house is too big. Would you mind if I came to see your place? Just to get a feel for where I'd be living? Vanessa's face lit up. Really? Oh, Mom, that's wonderful. Of course. How about tomorrow? Tomorrow's perfect. That night, I packed a bag. Not my whole life, just essentials. Medications, important documents, some clothes, my laptop. I left it in the trunk of my car. The next morning, I drove to James and Vanessa's house in Oakville. It was a beautiful home, modern, spacious, in a good neighborhood. They'd done well for themselves. Vanessa gave me the tour. "And this would be your room," she said, opening a door on the main floor. We converted James's office. It's got an ensuite bathroom, see? So you wouldn't have to use the stairs. The room was nice. It was also tiny, with a single bed and barely enough space for a dresser. The windows looked out onto the fence. "Where would my things go?" I asked. "My furniture, my books, Robert's." "Oh, we'd sell most of that," Vanessa said breezily. "You won't need it. We're furnishing the room for you. Everything you need, right here. Everything I need. In a room the size of my walk-in closet at home. And I'd eat with you and James? Of course, family dinners every night. Well, when James isn't working late. But I'm here, so you'd never be alone. Never be alone. Never have privacy. Never have independence. Can I see where you put my china? It's in storage, Mom, about 20 minutes from here. Could we go see it? I just want to make sure it's safe." She hesitated. "Well, I suppose we could, though it's really not necessary. I'd feel better," I said firmly. We drove to the storage facility. Vanessa used her key card to get in, led me down a corridor of identical units, unlocked number 347. My china was there, yes, packed in boxes, but so was a lot of other stuff. I recognized Robert's telescope, the one he'd used to show our sons the stars, my grandmother's quilt, the painting we'd bought in Quebec City on our 20th anniversary. "Vanessa, all of this is from my house. We've just been gradually moving things for safekeeping," she said. "Don't worry, it's all cataloged." I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures. "What are you doing?" Her voice had an edge. "Documenting what's here. For insurance purposes. That's not necessary. I'd like to do it anyway." I photographed everything I could see, including the unit number and Vanessa's key card in her hand. When we got back to the house, James was home. "So, Mom, what do you think? Ready to make this your new home?" I looked at my son, my firstborn, the little boy who'd once made me breakfast in bed for Mother's Day, burnt toast and all, the teenager who'd cried in my arms when his first girlfriend broke his heart, the young man who'd asked his father's permission before proposing to Vanessa. When had he stopped being that person? "James, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Is this what you want, or is this what Vanessa wants?" He blinked. "What? It's what we both want, Mom. We want you safe and cared for. In a room the size of a closet, with all my possessions sold or in storage, with no independence. You'll have independence. Will I? Can I come and go as I please? Can I have friends over? Can I cook in the kitchen? Can I make any decisions about my own life?" Vanessa stepped forward. "Mom, I think the stress of all this is affecting you. Maybe we should call Dr. Chen." "Don't." I held up my hand. "Don't you dare suggest I'm incompetent because I'm questioning your plans for my life." "No one's saying you're incompetent," James said quickly. "We're just worried." "Then here's what you can do with your worry," I said, my voice steady and cold. "You can give me back my house keys. You can return every single item you've taken from my home. And you can stop treating me like I'm already dead." Silence. Then Vanessa laughed. Actually laughed. "Mom, you're being dramatic. We're your family. We're trying to help." "No," I said. "You're trying to control. There's a difference." I walked out, got in my car, drove home. When I got there, I used my new key, the one they'd given me, and went inside. My home, still mine, for now. I called Margaret Chen. "They've escalated. I need to move faster. Come in tomorrow morning. We'll file everything." That night, I didn't sleep. I sat up, waiting, because I knew they'd come. And at 2 in the morning, they did. I heard the key in the lock. Footsteps in the hallway. Whispered voices. I turned on the lights. James and Vanessa froze in my living room. They had boxes with them. Empty boxes. "What are you doing?" I asked, though I knew. "Mom, we didn't want to upset you," James said. "But we need to start packing. We've found a wonderful retirement home." "I'm not going to a retirement home." "You don't have a choice," Vanessa said, and there it was, the mask finally slipping. "James has power of attorney. We've spoken to a doctor who agrees that you're not capable of making medical decisions anymore. Once we get you assessed—" "On what grounds?" I asked calmly. "You're clearly confused, agitated, paranoid, classic signs of cognitive decline with Parkinson's." "I have early-stage Parkinson's with no cognitive impairment. Dr. Chen's report confirms that." "We'll get a second opinion," Vanessa snapped. "And a third, if we need to. Someone will sign off that you need care." "And then what? You move me into a home and sell my house?" "We're doing this for you." "You're doing this for you," I said. "This house is worth over $1 million. You've got James's name on the medical power of attorney. You're planning to have me declared incompetent, and then you'll either force me into a home or move me into that closet you call a bedroom while you take over my life and my assets." "That's ridiculous," James started. "Is it? Then explain the storage unit full of my belongings. Explain the real estate agent. Explain why you changed my locks. Explain why you're in my house at 2 a.m. with empty boxes." They couldn't. The silence was deafening. "Get out," I said quietly. Mom James stepped forward. "Get out of my house. Now. Or I'm calling the police." Vanessa grabbed James's arm. "Let's go. She's clearly having an episode. We'll come back with the assessment paperwork." They left, but I knew they'd be back. The next morning, I was at Margaret Chen's office when the doors opened. We spent 4 hours filing paperwork, revoking the medical power of attorney, creating a new one with Thomas, filing a protection order, documenting the financial exploitation, reporting the unauthorized removal of my property. "The police will want to talk to you," Margaret said. "This is theft, Mrs. Brennan, even if they're family." "I know. Are you prepared for this to get ugly?" I thought about it, about my son, about the grandchildren I might not see again, about the family dinners and holidays that would never be the same. "I'm prepared to protect myself," I said. That afternoon, 2 police officers came to my house. I showed them the photos of the storage unit, the documentation of what had been taken, the text messages from Vanessa about moving me and selling the house. "Do you want to press charges?" Officer Rodriguez asked. "I want my belongings returned. If that requires charges, then yes." They went to talk to James and Vanessa. I don't know what was said, but 3 hours later, a truck pulled up to my house. James and Vanessa began unloading my things, the china, Robert's books and telescope, my grandmother's quilt, all of it. They didn't speak to me, didn't look at me, just unloaded everything and left. Thomas flew in the next day. We spent a week together, sorting through everything, making sure it was all there. He met with Margaret, reviewed all the legal documents, made sure I was protected. "I'm sorry, Mom," he said. "I'm sorry James did this to you. He's still your brother. He tried to steal your life." I know. I did know. And it hurt more than the Parkinson's ever would. A week later, I got a letter from James and Vanessa's lawyer. They were contesting the revocation of power of attorney. They had a doctor, someone Vanessa knew, who was willing to say, I showed signs of cognitive impairment. Margaret filed a counter motion. We included Dr. Chen's full report, including the cognitive assessment I'd taken. Perfect score, no impairment whatsoever. We also included the police report about the theft. And we included something else, something I'd found when I'd gone through my finances carefully. Small withdrawals from my account made over the past 6 months. $200 here, $500 there. All made by James, using the medical power of attorney to access my accounts in case of emergency. Total amount, $17,000. Margaret sent a demand letter. Return the money, drop the legal action, or face charges for financial exploitation of a vulnerable person. They dropped it, they returned the money, and they disappeared from my life. I haven't seen my grandchildren in 8 months. Sophie just turned 11. Lucas is 9. I sent birthday cards. I don't know if they received them. James sent me an email 3 months ago. It said, "I hope you're happy, destroying our family." I didn't respond. Because he destroyed our family the moment he decided I was too old, too sick, too inconvenient to deserve autonomy. But I'm not destroyed. I'm here, in my home, managing my Parkinson's with medication and regular appointments with Dr. Chen. My tremor is controlled. I still drive. I still cook. I still climb my stairs every single day. Thomas visits every few months. We video call every week. He's my power of attorney now, medical and financial, but he's never once suggested I can't manage my own life. I joined a Parkinson's support group. I met a woman there, Ruth, who went through something similar with her daughter. We have coffee every Tuesday. I'm not bitter, but I'm not foolish either. If there's anything I want people to understand from my experience, it's this. Having a medical diagnosis does not make you incompetent. Being over 60 does not make you incapable. Needing help does not mean you need someone to take over your entire life. Watch for the warning signs. When family members start making decisions without consulting you, when they start packing your belongings or changing your locks or bringing real estate agents to your home without permission, when they talk about you in the third person while you're standing right there, when helping becomes controlling. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Document everything. Take photos, save texts, keep records. You may need them. Get legal help early. Don't wait until you've lost control. An elder law attorney can help you set up protections before you need them. And know this, you have the right to make your own choices, to live in your own home, to maintain your independence for as long as you're capable. Anyone who tells you otherwise, even if they're family, even if they claim to love you, is wrong. I'm 67 years old. I have Parkinson's disease. I live alone in a house that's probably too big for me, and I have never been more certain that I made the right choice. My name is Patricia Brennan. This is my home. This is my life. And no one gets to take that away from me.